Hello, I'm Rico Caviglia. I want to welcome you to your Ageless Body Self-Care Guide, the Operations Manual for the Human Body Mind. And the topic of this session is permanent body fat reduction. Now, as you probably know, this is such an important subject because at least 70% of Americans have been struggling trying to lose weight. And it's a very complex subject, and there's so many different opinions and books and programs about different foods and diets and exercises, with a lot of conflicting information. So it's very confusing for everyone. So I'm really excited today about this topic, because today we're going to get some clarity on what you really need to do to achieve a healthy amount of body fat so you can live that healthy, energetic, vital life, long life that you desire and that you deserve. And I want you to know that with all of our trainings, we want you to know that our bodies are meant to be healthy and long lasting, and that most of the common health challenges that so many people are dealing with are not natural, and we do not have to accept them as normal. So our goal is to offer you the latest cutting edge, proven scientific information and strategies that you can trust from some of the top experts in the world, that you can begin using immediately to take the very best possible care of that amazing gift you have, your physical body. So this is all about creating your healthiest, most energetic, best functioning, long-lasting body as possible. So we're very fortunate today to have as our expert Deanna Nunez. She is an accomplished speaker, trainer, coach, and hypnotist. She specializes in peak performance for work and life and has presented more than 1,000 hypnosis presentations for Fortune 500 companies, the U.S. Marines, Norwegian Cruise Lines, and private organizations. She's been featured on NBC, ABC, the CW network, blogs, and podcasts, and her programs have helped hundreds of people lose weight, quit smoking, and take back control of their lives. So welcome, Deanna. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm appreciative to be in this conversation with you all.
Thank you. Yeah. We're going to have a fun conversation. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
All right. So if we're ready, let's get rolling. We'll get started. We'll get right into it. So first of all, this is just my thing. You know, all we hear about is weight loss. You know, and to me, that's the wrong terminology, because if weight loss was something that we could actually achieve, we'd be a nation of lean, healthy people, right? So I think we're sending the wrong message. So I agree that we should change the narrative, stop calling it weight loss, and so it's better to put the focus on getting a healthy, fit body with a healthy percentage of body fat. You agree with that? All
yes,
right.
yes. I do agree with this, and let me give you my point of view on that. You know, here, America is the normal in America is overweight. That's the normal. And here, so many times I see with my clients that come in and they want to lose weight, and they want it both ways. They want to be able to lose weight, and they still want to feel normal. Because what happens is, as soon as someone starts to change their diet and they start to focus on eating differently, they start to feel this, like something's being taken away from them. They feel this deprivation, right? Like, no, for God's sake, don't take away my cookies, you know? And they want to feel normal, you know, and not feel like they're on a diet. It's such a common thread with all the women that I work with and I think it comes from years and years, and it tends to happen with women that are over 40. So 40 to 70 to 80, we're in that space where we were constantly dieting. I'm 51, and I know I grew up in that diet culture. And so many of my clients have stories like their mother took them to the weight loss center, and the kid didn't even know they had an issue until the mom took them there. They thought that they were fine, you know, but then when mom points out the problem, because they're worried you got to lose weight based on society's standards, now the problem becomes very mental. And we come from this diet culture. I started dieting in the 5th grade, you know. There's no way a 5th grader should be dieting, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, going on these, like, hiding food from my mom and basically developing some borderline eating disorders, all because, you know, I'm comparing myself to what I think I should be. And so you can just see right there that your mind is off. You're not focused on the right things. You're not focused on health. You're focused on all of the negative and the deprivation, and there's something wrong with you type of mindset. So we don't want to be normal like the rest of America.
Exactly.
because America is stressed out, overweight, and eating incessantly, spending incessantly, doing all these things, coping mechanisms to try to feel okay. So first of all, just allow yourself to create your own new normal. Your own new normal. Like, let you follow your own compass, not America's standards. That's where we start. And I agree with you that there's a whole section in my book, Mind, Body, Fit Life, that I talk about the mindset of weight loss. And I consider going on a program or it's a diet, but all the diets nowadays, even the most popular ones, they call them lifestyles. And that's just a cover up, for basically another diet. But when you're in a diet mindset, you really are in a fat mindset. Like, I'm fat and I've got to lose weight. That's your focus. And that's all wrong, because your mind is you're going to put energy where your mind is going. And so you should be focused on a fit mindset. A fit mindset says, I do things for my health because I value it. I eat properly because I value it. I exercise because I value how I feel after I've exercised. So a fit mind is all about your goals and your values, right? So allowing your goals to be value oriented just puts you on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely right. On that same point about being what's normal, as I mentioned just earlier, just because it's normal, that don't mean it's natural, and that don't mean that that's the way we need to be. And hopefully, one of my big hopes from this whole COVID virus thing is that, people keep saying they want to go back to the way it was normal. No, we don't want to go back to the way it was normal. Normal is not so good. Hopefully that people are going to wake up and realize that they better start taking better care of their health, right? Because
absolutely,
the majority of people that are actually dying just because they were really unhealthy, and and a virus can kill you if you don't have a strong immune system. So that's our hope, that we don't want to go back to normal. We want to move forward and get off and learn what we can do to be our best self, instead of just going on with what's normal. That is exactly right. So I'm really glad that we got you as our expert here, because we're just totally in agreement. So you've already touched on some of those points, but let's go over what are the main reasons that so many people are overweight and obese in America.
It comes down to three things. It comes down to your beliefs, your behaviors, and your identity. Okay. And as a hypnotist, I've had the pleasure of being able to really experience what's inside the minds of my clients. And that's what has been so fascinating, that has really helped me to garner tools and create tools to be able to help more people, is that I've had this privilege of actually being able to explore their minds. And we do this on a subconscious level. It's an amazing thing to be able to know what's in your subconscious. And that is where your beliefs, your behaviors, and your identity is formed. And it's formed from way long ago, right? It started way long ago. But so a lot of your eating habits are based on what you experienced as a kid in your environment. The beliefs about who you are and what you're capable of were formed back then. And then they shift based on the traumas that you've had throughout life, the emotional turmoil, all of the mini traumas as well. Things like losing a job, getting divorced, having to move, circumstances that we were not expecting, which happen all the time. And they come into our life and they shift us, right? And we don't like it a lot of times. We just want things to stay the way they are. And these things, though, can create these pattern interrupts. They can create these mind shifts. And we get stuck. We get psychologically stuck because we're so trying to hold on to what was then. And it can be the very thing that's keeping you from really being your best self. So I truly believe, after all this work, and I work with people not just on weight loss, but in other areas of their life, helping them to grow and to overcome and to be their best selves. But I have this particular expertise in weight loss because I have this one program that I run that helps. It's an academy. It's called Fit Academy. And it helps people to be able to uncover their subconscious blocks. And we do this process called reveal, release, recode. And that's what you want to be able to do to your mind, is reveal the blocks, because until you're conscious of them, you can't deal with them. And then release them. So it's a matter of releasing the weight. The weight can be emotional. The weight can be psychological. And then recode. So the recoding is now the behaviors. Recode your behaviors. Habitize your behaviors that are beneficial to you versus the old coping patterns. So I really truly believe, right, that weight loss, losing weight, and maintaining. Let's focus on maintaining weight. Maintaining weight comes down to your beliefs, your behaviors, and your identity. Who you believe you are.
I just want to add to that why it's so important what she's talking about is because we've known for a really long time from science that what manifests in our physical body begins in our mental emotional state. So everything goes back to that. So all the things you've just mentioned, how we feel about our life and what we think our possibilities are in life, and all these things that we're thinking and feeling, that's what creates the actions that we take, and that's what's going to manifest in our physical body. So the mental component is the big one. I think that's what's missing in so many of these other programs. It's just like, oh, you just got to go diet, you got to eat this food, you got to do this type of exercise. Well, all those things are part of it, and they're important. But if you don't change your mindset, as you're talking about, nothing's going to work for you.
Yeah, and your mindset is influenced by your subconscious. So typically when we refer to mindset, it's how you view your life and how you view yourself, right? So it's a viewpoint is your mindset. And when we shift the way we view something, we're able to adopt better behaviors around it. But what's influencing your mindset is your subconscious. Mm-hmm. So you want to go that extra step and go deeper and explore, what are those patterns that I've had, and why do I have this belief? Is it because I need to have it? Where did it come from? Like, explore those things inside yourself, because you very well could be just repeating something that your parents taught you that's not even true, or repeating something that a pastor said or a coach said or a teacher said that got stuck in your subconscious, and it's not even true. So I call those untrue truths that people live by, right? And we go, well, I've just always been this way. This is just who I am and what I do. Well, that doesn't mean you have to.
Danny, so you know what I call those? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You know what I call those? Fake news. That's the real fake news that we have to worry about. Not what's on the TV. That's the real fake news you have to worry about, right?
That's so great. That's funny. I love that term. One of the best books on really understanding what's underneath emotionally, underneath you, why you do what you do, and how it manifests in your body is, I read it way back when I first became a hypnotist in 1997 is when I became certified as a hypnotherapist. So I started really delving into mind-body performance. And Louise Hay is the godmother of affirmations. She's now passed on, but she left us a legacy of work. And I feel like one of the Bible of emotional healing is You Can Heal Your Life, the book by Louise Hay. You should have that at your bedside and be looking up the glossary of terms that are in there to understand the ailments and what's emotionally underneath them, because it's scientifically proven. I mean, we're just living in the dark ages if we haven't adopted the understanding that whatever we think is going to manifest in our body. And we don't have to be like nervous about what we think, because it's not just the one thought, but it's the repeated thoughts that tend to manifest. So I call those thinking habits. And I talk about it in my book as well. Thinking habits, the ones that are emotionalized and repeated, like they have meaning to them and they're repeated, those are the ones that manifest in our bodies. And they go both towards the positive and the negative. So we just want to be aware of how we're programming ourselves.
So how did you get it? I just wanted to ask you, how did you get into wanting to learn hypnotism?
Oh my gosh. Those things that life gives us, and we think that it just was an oops, like I fell into it. I don't think anything's ever an oops. But I was a single mom and just getting dating again. And my girlfriends wanted to set me up with her cousin's boyfriend, or her boyfriend's cousin. And she said, you got to meet this guy. And I was like, well, what does he do? And she said, well, he's a hypnotist. And I'm like, okay, does he help people quit smoking? Why? I don't get it. And so I met him and we started dating, and he's the person that introduced me to hypnosis. So then once I learned about it, that did not work out, and that's okay. He went on to find the love of his life, and so did I. But what he did introduce me to was just an amazing tool that changed my life. And it changed my life in every way possible. It gave me a tool to change myself, and that propelled me to do this career. And when I first started performing and presenting hypnosis, I always wanted it to be in a fashion of as a speaker to audiences, not just one-on-one, but really getting up in front of large audiences and showing the power of it. So I started doing demonstrational hypnosis in 1998. And oh my gosh, the very first demonstration I ever did was with the United States Marine Corps. They contracted me and did my first presentation and just blew their minds. And so they started contracting me to work with them to bring a happy morale to all the Marines. And so we would do the hypnosis side where you see the shows of comedy. We would bring that in and do some comedy demonstrations. But I always made sure that everything that I did, whether it was entertainment or therapeutic, that it's always showed really the power of the mind and the benefits of it. And so never ever was it, making people do silly things that made them embarrassed, but instead is the opposite. It was to empower. And so my goal from the beginning is to empower people and help them to really just understand and start to use the power that's right between their ears. And it's amazing what they've been able to do.
Absolutely.
Can I share a story with you to give people an example?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you could share your own story as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, for sure, my own stories, really starts with having this very tumultuous childhood where my own eating habits were formed very young, in the fact that when I would come home from school, I was always greeted with pastries and cakes and cookies. And my mom was not someone that said, "I love you." She wasn't the warm and fuzzies. She was more, she was very religious, and she was not the huggy type or to say, "I love you." I maybe got it in a card, like on my birthday, "I love you," but it wasn't a connection, right? But where the connection lied was through food. And that meant to me that my mom loves me. And every, you fall down and skin your knee, let's go get an ice cream. It's that kind of mentality. And, this is not something that she meant. She didn't try to give me an eating disorder, right? That was not her goal. She was trying to love me in the way that she could. But what happened was my unconscious received the message that when I'm sad, when I'm happy, when I'm feeling despair, when I'm heartbroken, food makes me feel better. And it just became this formula, that's this unconscious formula that got into my behavior system. And so I started to just really eat for the wrong reasons. And I ate for reasons other than hunger. And this is something that so many people can relate with. And it's so common. It's unbelievable how common it is. And it makes sense that it's common because food tastes so good. It just makes everything go off, right? All are on high alert. It's like, right? When something tastes amazing, we feel it, we experience it. Our taste buds make us feel certain things, and we immediately want to do it again. And so it can easily be this thing that if we're using it to cope, then it always works. But it works temporarily. It works for 5 minutes while we're actually eating it. And then too much of that causes a problem, right? Yeah. And so for me, it was always ice cream. I would eat to the bottom of an entire container and not know how to stop myself. I had no control when it came to food. And I would get myself to the point that I would be sick, or I would eat to the point of binge eating, or I would eat to the point of just not being able to have that meter of knowing when to stop it, because what I was searching for in the food was not what the food was actually there to do. Food gives us nutrients, not solving our emotional problems. And so it wasn't until I became a hypnotherapist that I was able to actually connect the dots, understand why I was doing what I was doing, and to then put in place better behaviors. And that's just so key.
I just want to say one thing. When I'm listening to what you're saying, I think an important point of what you're making too is about your mom. Is to not have any blame. You know, there's no blame on what happened in your childhood or your parents or anybody else or yourself.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you got to let all that stuff go. It doesn't matter. You know, how you got to where you are. You got to let go of that blame and just focus on the now and forget about all that stuff. Yeah, that's important.
And let's be super. I want to be really forthright with your audience that's listening, because you are going to go through layers of emotions getting to that letting go part, right? So there was a time that I was pissed at my mom, right? They're like, God dang it. You know, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't blah, 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 blah. So it's okay if that's where you're at. And I just want people to be okay with that. It's not okay to blame, but it's okay to feel what you feel, knowing that that's not the end result. That's not where we're going to stop, because that's the power of this emotional, you know, practice in hypnotherapy, is to keep going, but when you get back to love, when you get back to trusting yourself, you want to let go of all the external things that have kept you from trusting yourself and kept, you know, because that blame is a wall. It's a barrier between you and really loving yourself. So that's part of the puzzle, and just keep going if that's where people are at. So to let you know too, is that my mom actually died of poor self-care. So this behavior of hers that she taught to me actually did take her life. And at the age of 78, she found herself depressed, having not really ever dealt with these things from her life, and very, very overweight. And her overweightness kept her from being able to be mobile. And it just became a poison in her mind. I can tell you that in her years, in her older years, she was full of what I call the I can't poison. And everything was, you know, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. And I can't. It's like she couldn't help herself at that point, because she was just so in the mindset that, you know, it's too late and nothing works and no diet works, and I can't work out because I have a bad knee, and I can't help myself because I love bear claws. You know, the bear claws are a pastry. She used to say that. She said it all the time. And so therefore I can't lose the weight because I have a sweet tooth, you know, and that is the barrier that got in her way. And what I would really love people to know, as a hypnotherapist, I've discovered these things that is the block that's holding you hostage, because you can. The truth is you can. She just didn't understand why she had a sweet tooth. Her sweet tooth wasn't just because she likes sweets, and we all do. I mean, I do. Maybe not everybody does. Some people like salty stuff, right? But really what's underneath, why? It's because of what she made them mean in her life. And I'll tell you a story that I share this in my book too. I went to visit her in the hospital in the days that she was actually dying, and I was in denial that she was going to die of poor self-care. I didn't even know you could die of that. I didn't think she was going to die. It's
Most
true.
Everyone does. Most everybody does die of poor self-care.
Die of poor self-care. I'd never seen it. I always thought you die of something, though, like you die of heart disease, or you die of diabetes, or you die of whatever. But she didn't really have any of those things. She literally died of just not taking care of herself emotionally. And so I go to visit her, and she had eaten only the dessert on her plate in the hospital. She had her little tray, and she's in her bed, and she's got salad, and she's got her chicken, and she's got her green beans. She's got all of the other food groups, but the dessert was the only thing she ate on that tray. And so I show up and I go, Mom, why didn't you eat the other food? That's exactly what we need you to do, right? That's why you're in this position. And I'm sure that stung to her, because, you know, my coach hat was on versus my empathy and loving hat was on. I was coming in there and telling her like it is. And I do wish I would have said something differently. However, her comment that came back out of her mouth was shocking to me, because she never admitted this before, ever in my life with her. She said, Deanna, when you haven't had sex in 27 years, apple pie tastes really good. And as funny as that is, she said her truths. She told me exactly why she has a sweet tooth. And it's really not about sex, but it's about love. It's about intimacy. It's about connection. And that was what was missing in her life. And she had been dying from it all those years. When she and that happens to be the amount of years that she was divorced from my father as well. So, it was very poignant, and it made sense. I finally understood what her block was, her mental block. And when we talk about weight loss, we cannot talk about weight loss without addressing mental blocks. Because if you just address weight loss with, what am I going to eat today? And what am I going to do to exercise? Then you're missing a big vital piece.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's so good, Deanna. That's exactly right. So that's the message that you really need to hear. I think you can relate to that. So after you work on people with their mindset, tell us a little bit about your protocol for food and for exercise.
Okay, so I think of those as tools, right? The other part is the unconscious part that absolutely needs to be addressed. But even when you address the letting go of these emotional blocks, these mental blocks, you still have to habitize yourself with your food, right? You still got to be able to, pull it together and eat cleaner. And I think it's all about discipline. Discipline, when we talk about from a psychological perspective, so many people get rubbed the wrong way when they learn that they've got to be disciplined with what they eat. And they push back on me all the time. They're like, I don't want to be disciplined. What? I have to be disciplined? What are you talking about? They resist it. But here's the thing. Freedom happens with discipline. So I would absolutely say reframe the way you experience and view discipline. Reframe your mindset around discipline, because it will absolutely be the structure that carries you and gives you good eating habits. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to make sure that you just simplify what you're eating. And so what I teach to all my clients is 1 ingredient foods. Eat 1 ingredient foods. And at first, when I say that, they kind of they go deer in the headlights. Well, what does that mean? What's a 1 ingredient food? Like, well,
that's whole food. That's whole life food.
Basically, it's whole food.
Exactly.
And think about how much we actually overthink this. We overthink it. Well, am I on the keto diet, or am I doing the paleo, or am I doing the Atkins, or am I doing the this, the that? Oh my gosh, we overthink nutrition. And it's important that you just get to 1 ingredient foods. And then, of course, we can get into some nitty gritty, because there might be some things that with your body and your system, you can't tolerate. Exactly. But you don't know what those things are until you start to eliminate all of that, like junk snacking and all of the extra stuff, so that you can understand what doesn't feel right in your body that's causing you inflammation. But truly, if you just get down to eating 1 ingredient foods properly, in the proper amounts, you're really not going to have a weight issue anymore. It's going to take care of itself.
Isn't that so true? That's why I say the same thing. If people would just get the vast majority of all the processed junk, fast foods out of their diet, and just eat what, in my very first book was called Real Food, Real Fast, How to Make Healthy Fast Food. And real food is what's grown in nature. It doesn't come in a package or can. It doesn't have a list of ingredients, right? It's already made the way it's supposed to be. So if you make most of your diet with just whole foods that are grown or raised in nature, so many of your health challenges would just go away right there. Absolutely right.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
And we want to simplify it, because when we talk about mindset, I think it absolutely 100%, right? It's so mental. The weight loss process is and maintaining it, so mental. And everything everything that I named in the beginning, your beliefs, your behaviors, and your identity, that's all psychological as well. So it's this whole thing between heart and mind, your emotions and your mind, your emotions and your mind, and balancing that. But when it comes down to making this process easy, because I really don't think it has to be hard. I don't think weight loss has to be hard, and I don't think maintaining your weight has to be hard. But it's important that you just make it as easy and simple as possible. And simplifying it with those one ingredient foods is the fastest way to that. So you talk about it in your book, and that's exactly it. And then I would say the second thing is also simplifying your exercise. I think so many people think that exercise, what they do is they attach this mindset of, well, I've got to lose weight, so now I have to exercise. Well, now we're back in the fat mindset again. We're focused on the exercise, only exercising for the reason of losing weight. Heck no, that's not why you exercise.
Exercise to feel good and to look good, right?
Yeah. If you only exercise to create a result of weight loss, then you're going to feel discouraged on some days. You're going to lose your motivation. You're not connected to a deeper meaning inside of you. And to stay motivated, you've got to have purpose. And I love this thought process. Where there is no purpose, there is no meaning. And where there is no meaning, there is no motivation. And so you've got to really have like a deeper purpose, have a deeper why as to why you're going on this health journey. It can't be about weight loss. If it's just about weight loss, it's going to be so damn fleeting that when you don't feel like it, it's going to all go out the door, right? Because there's going to be days you don't feel like it. But if you value your health, then you value your eating habits. If you value your health, you value moving. And exercise brings you so much more than just weight loss. It brings you mental clarity and focus. It makes you a better decision maker when you're an exerciser.
It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. It makes you look good. All those things.
Oh my gosh! All your neurotransmitters, right? All your neurotransmitters go off when you exercise. You're literally chemically creating those feel-good hormones. So your neurotransmitters are healthier when you're exercising.
Since you brought that up, I was just going to say, since you brought that up, I just recently wrote an ebook, a paper on the ageless brain. And of all the things I studied and researched, the number one thing still that most all the scientists and people that do all the research said, the best thing for your brain is to exercise. This is the very best healthy thing for your brain, because our brain's just another part of our body, right? It's just another, so it's part of our body as well. So what you do for your body, you do for your brain. So Deanna, that was so good, because you really brought up what people really need to hear, that it's all up here and that you can do it. And I know
they
that
can do it. Yes. They really can do it. And it's just get in there and start putting one foot after another.
Get in there and take the first step. So, okay, my last question for you is, maybe give us some ideas of how you motivate people to act. It's one thing I always like to say, knowledge without action is useless, right? So just all the things that we've talked about and all the things that people are going to learn in this whole program about how to take care of their body and their mind. What would you say? How do you motivate people to actually take these recommendations and actually implement them in their life?
Well, I can confidently say that I really do motivate people.
Yes.
And it's not just about like these little shots of motivation, but it's about really getting in there and doing the self-growth work. One of the things that I noticed was really, really important was back in the day when I started doing weight loss seminars. And here's the thing, we have to call it weight loss because that's what people want. But once they come in, I don't ever talk about it like that anymore. Because we're not focused on weight loss. We're focused on all of the weight loss is a symptom of making the change, right? It's just a byproduct of what you're really doing. We're no longer focused on weight loss. So with motivation, I think it's so important that they just stay in it. They keep consuming the growth work. And so when I first started, I used to do these seminars. And I do weight loss seminars, and people would come and I would teach them all these mindset tools. I'd teach them self-hypnosis. I would teach them how to be able to create their own breakthroughs. And these are all, mechanisms that I created through this work. And I love it. And people would be so turned on. They'd be like, yes. They'd get, they'd connect the dots. I'd go, oh my gosh, I get it. I get it. But then they would leave the seminar and they wouldn't do it.
Yes.
And it drove me crazy, because we know that you and I, we want people to have real lasting results. And that's why you call it ageless, right? And it's all about vitality. We want people to have results. And so that right there just forced me to go, okay, what do I need to do to get these people to stay in it long enough to where they truly adopt a new mindset? Because you don't adopt a mindset in one day, in one seminar. It really comes down to the habitization of it. So habitizing what you learned and putting it to action on a regular basis. And so for me, I created Mind Body Fit Club. And it's a group of women, and they're women across the country. And I meet with them every single week. They can come in, they can go, they can come back. I have women that have been in it for 10, 11 years. And they don't go away because they know where to come back to their source of like, okay, I got to stay in this. And every week we're talking about different aspects of, because this is life, things come up and then you got to deal with it, right? You got to deal with it and you got to move forward. And while you're dealing with those life circumstances, you can still be eating healthy. You can still be exercising. I can tell you the day that my mom passed away, that night, she passed away at 3:28 a.m. And you know what I was doing at 9 a.m. on the same morning? I was running. I went running. And it was so disheartening. I had tears running down my face. But I decided, I was like, I got to take this feeling that feels so freaking overwhelming right now, and I got to take it to the road. I got to go run with it. And I literally ran 10 miles that morning. And I'm not asking people to run 10 miles, but that was what I did, because I know, like, we got to stay in motion with this stuff. We got to stay in motion with our emotions. And that's, I think, the key is keeping people in it to give them new tools. And you got to stick around long enough to where it becomes who you are. That's the whole key. Make it become who you are. If it's who you are, you won't ever fall back again. You won't ever gain the weight back again. I haven't gained my initial weight that I lost, 40 pounds. I've never gained it back. And that's been 18 years ago.
Very good.
So this can be done. And it's
done.
For everyone. It's an invitation for everyone.
Deanna, that was so good. I think this was exactly what everybody really needs to hear. Thank you so very much. And I want to remind you that in the PDF that comes along with this particular video, you'll get all the information on how you can connect with Deanna if you want to get her book, or you want to find out more about her program, you want to join her club, or all those things. So you can find all that information in the PDF, and I urge you to do so as well. So once again, I just want to leave you with that idea that all this knowledge is great, but if you don't take action on it, it's not going to do any good. And we know, both Deanna and I know, that if you follow these recommendations, they will absolutely make a big difference in your health, in your life, and your enjoyment of your life. And I like to always say, the healthier you become, the better your life becomes.
Love that.
All right. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.